Hey guys, so this is Module 10 about interactive technology. I'm just going to jump in here. The first question is, what experiences have you had with interactive technologies as a student or teacher? I went to a small school that was pretty well funded. Still, most of my teachers used overhead projectors. I had a few that had data projectors in their classrooms. Most of them were mounted to the ceiling, but we really only used them when watching videos. It wasn't very popular for teachers to use them for giving out notes or information. They usually just used the whiteboard or the overhead projector. I think what would have been my junior year, the school district incorporated some smart boards that were not received very well. It was many, many years ago, and the technology was not exactly up to par. They lagged a lot. I know that in the middle school they had smart boards, but with the little handheld tablets that they would write on. And the problem with that is people could not keep calibrated. Once you pick up your hand, trying to set it back down right where you are intending to write relative to the board is very difficult when there isn't a screen on your tablet. So I've had a little exposure, but not a ton. The schools I've done my visits in haven't utilized many technologies because most of the programs are just reading rather than lesson-based. Which interactive whiteboard and remote would you choose and why? I would lean more towards the complete package smartboard with a screen built in. Because using a projector it's just not the way things are moving. It is difficult. It makes it more difficult to write, more difficult to calibrate what you're trying to write. And frankly, if you have to use the the data projector, you might as well just project it onto a whiteboard and write on it. I think you lose a lot of the advantages of a smartboard if you do not have the screen built in. I know that's a lot more expensive, but I would just find it much more useful. Although, frankly, I'm not too keen on the smart boards as they stand right now. I think we saw even just the other day in class how some simple tasks can take a lot longer when you have to rely on technology to keep up with your intentions rather than just pulling out a marker and writing on a board. It's beside the point. What were your thoughts and what did you learn from Scott, Fassel, Fark, and Peterson? Do you think that you would have similar results if you utilize clickers in your classroom? I actually probably would use, maybe not clickers, but we as teachers are going to be basing our lesson plans and what we teach, and even on the macro level, what curriculum is taught based on data. So I don't think there's anything wrong with having more data in your classroom. This bleeds a lot into the question about the interactive applications, like we've been using Socrative. I really, really like that. Just a way to get anonymous feedback from your students, I think, is invaluable because I can tell you that my teachers regularly asked us questions or opinions that no one was really sure how to answer because it's high school or middle school, or people are just afraid of being judged or looking stupid and they don't want to ask questions or give honest responses. So creating that anonymity and that data collecting method, I think, is very useful, and I will more than likely try to utilize that in my classrooms in one way or another. Because of those applications, I don't really think you need clickers. I think that's pretty outdated. And you could use them. There's nothing wrong with it, but if your school doesn't already have them, why would you purchase them? If your students have access to a website like Socrative, and going into being a secondary education teacher, I expect all my students will have a cell phone or a laptop if the school doesn't have a one-to-one program already. I think the clickers might just be a little outdated.